it posed as a constraint because both of us are not formally trained as counselors or as psychologists, or we did not receive a form of training that would tell us how to switch our roles from a regular teacher, general ed teacher, to a counselor. So this was one of the biggest problems that we faced when we were constructing this class today. Now, in terms of the feasibility in the typical Malaysian classroom, as Omar mentioned in the weaknesses earlier. So CLL derives from the humanistic approach. Now, as was mentioned again earlier, the humanistic approach values students as whole persons. So the development of a strong student and teacher relationship is very important. That's one of the most important aspects of this community-based learning. So, and not only the relationship of the teacher and the student, also with the students together. So that's one of the main aims of this approach. So we find that developing this personal relationship with each and every one of your students in a typical Malaysian classroom, which would range from 30 to 40 students, is not practical. It may be, in ways, very difficult for the teacher to develop that. And throughout the semester and throughout the time of the year, it is not possible that the teacher would be able to develop that form of relationship with every one of their students. So it becomes a problem because the main teaching objective in a Malaysian classroom is to efficiently deliver your content. So adding on to that relationship would be too taxing, we believe, in the Malaysian classroom. Okay? So now, we would like you all, so I've sent a link on the WhatsApp group, so just click on the link, and you will come to this poll. So can you just quickly answer yes or no on whether you would consider this approach in your classroom?
Whether you'd ever try to implement parts of it or it as a whole in the class.
Right, so you have one response, I think, so far. Okay, so some of you are saying yes. Any more? Okay, there's a few more. Okay, let's wait. I'll give you another minute. Okay, have most of you answered? Okay, Nas, are you okay? Right, okay, so this appears to be the final result. So 44% of you say that you will implement or you may consider implementing this approach in your language classroom. And okay, now it's 50%. Okay, so we have a change of some events here. Okay, so it seems now that it's 50-50. Okay, so some of you say that you might implement it, some of you say that you won't. Okay, let's take a look at the ones who said yes. Why did you say yes? Why would you think to implement this this approach? Any one of you said yes? Lola? Okay, yes.
Because I think it goes back to context, and like sometimes it depends on like what kind of English you're teaching. For example, like business English, I would prefer it like in a setting like for community language learning, because the terms are kind of technical, and this method would suit that.
Right. So yeah, I think Lola has a good point there, because this approach is in a conversational manner. So I believe if you're teaching business writing, your learners would be slightly aged, adult learners. So at that point, the importance would be more for a conversational manner. So in that respect, I respect your opinion. Thank you. Anyone else who said yes? Asma? Yes?
I was going to say, could we use in a literature classroom as well? If the teacher's analyzing a point of view, so it's a nice idea that they're all fitting in the group and they can all just share ideas. It's more like a kind of community kind of work.
Yeah.
That's one way.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So Asma pointed out that so again, it's moving up and down, but Asma said that you could use it in a literature classroom. So I think that's a good idea. So you can obviously adjust this form of learning according to the subjects or the subject matter. Okay, so any more yeses?
How about the no's?
Yeah.
Why would you not use it?
it goes back on the subject matter and the content. And also, like, I think as my perspective, like my previous experience as a student, like it's hard to incorporate this community class because like you say like 30 students in one class, and also you have to take consider about the diversity also, because not some culture can get along in one class, so it's hard to like incorporate that.
Yeah. You can say that it has its uses in certain times, but most of the time it's quite difficult to pull off.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on this approach? Okay. If there aren't any responses for that, so we end our session here today like this.
Do I have questions?
Yeah. Are there any questions first? Yes. Apologies.
Yeah.
Are
Do you
there
have
any
any
questions?
questions?
So how do you tackle like my problem with like I say no because of the diversity? How do you tackle that, like in a class full of diverse students? How do you tackle like to get everyone to get along?
Realistically, you would probably work in two ways. You'd have to also be quite versed in some of the languages, even if you weren't fluent. And then you could also, because it's a community-based classroom, you get everyone to help each other. So let's say you and Yingwei possess one language, and Reka and Jiani also possess a different language. I could get you both to help each other, depending on the situation when it was there. It would also be interesting because then you guys would all learn different parts of different other languages. So it's actually in a way better to, you can learn a few languages at the same time. Mostly the focus would be on the target language though.
Any more questions? Any more? Okay. So if there aren't any more questions, so we end our session here. So think about this approach, consider it, maybe you might implement it in the future. And if you have any more concerns, please feel free to address them to us. Okay, thank you so much.